I didn't have any sexual experiences until I was almost 30, and didn't even date until I was almost 30.
If you're free with your partner, like you get to talk about things. You get to talk about, I didn't want this, you didn't do it right. Maybe can we try about something?
Intimacy for me, well, for us, is more around how we connect with each other on a deeper level than just the physical. Communication was something that was really important to us from the start, and so we built a space where communication fostered trust.
If I'm talking to a girl maybe a week or two, I'm not trying to bring up sex, even though I may want sex. I'm not trying to bring it up because I don't want to make it seem like that's all I want.
This is everyone's world, but this is a man's world. Do you ever wonder what conversations are had in the barbershop? Especially when the cape goes on and the clippers come out, the hot takes, and even the confessions that often do not go beyond the barber chair? Well, I am giving you the inside scoop. On this episode of After Dark Chat, let's get real with our men. All right, let's kick this off from the start. When it comes to intimacy and sex, a lot of us weren't really taught much, and so we had to figure it out along the way. Now, these lessons learned, or the lack thereof, have shaped how we look at sex and intimacy today. We're about to talk about that with our gentlemen here, and I'm starting with Tony. When you were growing up, what were some of the things you were taught or not taught about sex, and how have these things shaped how you look at it today?
Well, for myself, I really wasn't taught much at all, if anything, about sex growing up. In my home, I'm Jamaican background. Sex wasn't something that was ever discussed. It wasn't something that was ever put in the light. It was something that was done in secrecy and in darkness. I saw a lot of men just being able to go around and gallivant and do whatever they want in terms of having sex with multiple women, and the women just stayed and took it. For me personally, I was a part of the Christian church. I became a committed Christian when I was 13 or 14. And so the church's teaching was that it was just completely wrong. There was no discussion. There was no safe sex. There was no, discussion of anything except staying abstinent and not engaging in sex until you were married. On top of that, I knew from a very young age, from the time I was 11 or 12, that I had attraction to men, to boys, other boys. And again, coming from the Jamaican culture and being in the church, that was just something that was never ever discussed. In church, I was told that people like that would go to hell. At home, there was violence towards spoken about people like that, and so it wasn't something that I could ever bring up or discuss. As a result, I didn't have any sexual experiences until I was almost 30, and didn't even date until I was almost 30, which gave me a very skewed idea of what sex was. My only exposure to sex until then was through pornography, actually, magazines and movies. And in them, it was all just about an act, bang, 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 come, be done. And I didn't realize until, later on, early in my 30s, that there was an intimate part to sex, that it's about an emotional connection, just not an act that was just over and done with.
Yeah, I love that you made mention of, how you were exposed. And I think a lot of men actually were exposed that way. And also how we interact, whether it be with another man or a woman or whomever. I find that it's usually from an aggressive standpoint. And so there's usually a lack of intimacy. And so, Stévia, intimacy in your relationship, what does that look like? And what does it really even mean to you?
Intimacy for me, well, for us, is more around how we connect with each other on a deeper level than just the physical. Communication was something that was really important to us from the start, and so we built a space where communication fostered trust, that built a place of safety, a home for us in our relationship. And so what that intimacy then tends to look like for us is a place of safety, a place of full acceptance, honest communication, being able to like truly be yourself, spending time together, whether it's quiet time or doing something fun. Yeah, just knowing, understanding, respecting each other's boundaries and needs. That is what intimacy kind of looks like for me.
Thank you so very much for that, Stévia. You know, you mentioned something very important. You talked about the importance of communication in your relationship. Derrick, when it comes to having open and honest conversations about sexual preferences in our relationship, so, you know, what you would prefer to do sexually, connecting with your partner, what does that look like? And what's the importance of having that honesty and that openness when it comes to having those conversations?
Well, I think it's gonna all begin with being intentional with your partner. And then if you're both having, deeper love between, you're gonna have to be free about it. Versus when you're there for bang bang, you're there to do it and get done. So like, as he said, like he thought sex was about, not until we were 30, bro. That was long ago. But like, I mean, if you're free with your partner, like you get to talk about things. You get to talk about, I didn't want this, you didn't do it right. Maybe can we try about something? Can we try something new? You know what I mean? So it's about, having that trust with each other, having that open conversation about what you want, what you think, other than going out to discover from outside. You can actually discover everything, explore with your partner. I feel like that's what I would do.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to even ask, when it comes to communication, there are times when we don't really effectively communicate with our partners about even the type of sex we want. And so how do we effectively do that? And this question is open to anyone, really. Like, how do you effectively communicate the type of sex you desire from your partner?
I think for me, part of it begins with getting rid of the shame behind certain sexual acts. So whether it be oral sex or BDSM or whatever it is that you're into, if there's a shame that's keeping you from being able to voice those desires, then you're never going to want to discuss it with your partner. And as a result, you'll just remain passive and keep doing what they want to do in order to be normal or be acceptable. And yeah, so to a certain degree, we have to be willing to be brave and rid ourselves of this idea that sex is about a woman and a man in the horizontal position, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, because the thing about just the conversation about sex is it's like taboo, right? So you just gotta, I think for most men, you gotta take your ego out of it, You can't assume that if you've had a previous partner, the way that person likes to be pleased is the same way that the next person likes to be pleased, right? The same way how you're vetting that person and learning them I think sex is the same thing. There's a vetting process, and then, once you are willing to want to learn and give, because it's also a service, right? If you're willing to give, then you'll get closer to a better outcome when it comes to sex.
Yeah, and so we're saying that there's a way to effectively initiate these conversations. Because I'm assuming that, let's say, for example, your partner likes to be pleased a particular way, but you are unaware. Like, how do you approach your partner to find out what type of sexual preferences your partner has? Like, how do you really do that?
You get into partnerships without having those conversations.
Well, that's true, but a lot of us don't really.
You know what, though? I think social media can help. You can send reels, you could DM some reels, just throw some subs here and there, just to get the conversation started. Because it could be awkward, just saying, hey, so can you twist up and down, it's a little awkward. So if you see something, just throw it out there, text it, and that could help. That's one way that's worked for me.
I think a key part of the conversation needs to be not waiting until you're in bed. These conversations, these negotiations need to happen before you even engage, before you're in the bedroom. That way there's no pressure to begin right away. There's no pressure to do certain things. You can talk about it, you can come to certain agreements, you can discuss likes and dislikes. But when we wait until we're in the bedroom, then we just go into some unnatural flow that maybe we like or don't like.
But I think that's easier said than done though. Cause like okay, for me, I'm not really, if I'm talking to a girl maybe a week or two, I'm not trying to bring up sex, even though I may want sex. I'm not trying to bring it up because I don't want to make it seem like that's all I want. You know, so yeah, it would be nice, but it's like, you know, you don't really want to be that guy, you know. So
And also,
that's
I think also it's a matter of when are you gonna bring up this conversation? You know what I mean?
Right.
As you say, you don't wanna seem like that's all you want.
yeah.
You know, so it's really very good to know when you're gonna bring up this conversation. I mean, like you know your partner. We assume that you're talking about the partner. You know, you know the partner. You know the right time, the right moods, the right. You know, it could start even from a movie. You know, from a movie, and then you know what, I want to talk about this, or like being so free with your partner. I'm like, you know what, I want to tell. Not even like pull up a video. Yeah, I'll watch porn sometimes. I mean, long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, like you can talk about. I mean, what I mean is being open, having an open conversation with knowing when and how. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, not on a first date, I guess.
Yeah, that's the balance. Is like try to like not wait too long, and you know, not bring it up too early. Is that fine?
Yeah. I think knowing the intention of why you're with this person also matters. If this is someone that I want to spend time engaging with and I see a future for us, then you know the conversation doesn't have to happen immediately. But if it's, and these days it's so much easier where you got Tinder and you got all those apps where you can tell exactly what you like. If you know this is going to be a one-off, then yeah, put it on the app what you want, they put what they want, and then you come together and then it's over. But if it's something that's more long-term, then yeah, the timing has to be determined.